Welcome to episode 11 of the Vox Chatter Podcast, a podcast series where we discuss everything Warhammer 40k related with a focus on fun and casual play. I am Count Hillary. Tonight I am joined by Kyle Knox.
Hello.
First off, I want to apologise for the delay getting the latest episode of the podcast out to you guys. Unfortunately, we've all been super busy the last couple of weeks and I haven't had a chance to get together until now. We should be back to our usual schedule every other Friday in time for the next episode, however. So.
Yeah, unfortunately real life does sometimes get in the way of like models and things. Like,
Unfortunately, yes.
and it can be unavoidable.
Now, every episode we start by discussing a main topic, usually an aspect of the hobby we thought would be interesting or fun to talk about. Tonight's topic is, surprise surprise, the big news in 40k this month. How the 40k FAQ has changed the game. After that, we'll be discussing our favourite moments from our recent games of Warhammer 40k, and then finally we'll talk about some recent new and upcoming releases, including the new Alfarius model from Forge World. So, before that, the big news in 40k this month is the big FAQ has finally landed. So this is the first of the 2 annual FAQs we're going to be getting.
It's supposed to be 2 annual, isn't it? But
And then chapter approved at the end of each year.
Yeah. I've got a funny feeling they might just do this one and then chapter approved because of the delayed release.
It's 1 month off. It was only 1 month behind. It was due for March. I reckon we'll still see the September one, and then December we'll see chapter approved.
That just seems very short for me. You know, second FAQ 3 months later, chapter approved.
But then maybe they don't have to make big changes. They just add new stuff for chapter approved.
Yeah, cool. Fair enough. I quite like this one. It seems to tweak what needs to be tweaked.
Oh yeah, it's made a ton of changes, but the best part about it is they all seem like really great changes.
Some of them I didn't even realise weren't official changes. But,
Yeah,
you know,
so-
like the Smite thing. I just assumed that had been a rule since, like, chapter approved.
Though I genuinely think a lot of people have forgotten this fact, that the proposed change to Smite was just that, proposed.
Yeah.
It was just a beta rule, but it was already pretty much accepted as gospel by the community because everyone wanted it.
Everyone wanted it and it worked. It was a good fix. But there was no real outcry against it, I don't think.
And it's been brilliant to see that this first wave of beta tests, like beta rules, have actually changed the game in a positive way. Like, I don't know anyone who's actually complained about the Smite ruling. What they have done...
Well, yeah, I do like how we've tweaked a beta rule of Smite now. So the people who did cry out against it, like Grey Knights, rightly so.
Oh, yeah.
Like, when we went, so is it Grey Knights that cast on 1d6?
Yes, they
Grey
only
Knight
have a cast
got
on
1
1d6, but their Smite is normal Smite.
Yeah.
Whereas the Thousand Sun Sorcerer, like leading a unit, he casts normally, rolling on 2d6, but only ever does 1.
Yeah, because I got the Grey Knights outcry a bit more, because it was that thing of, so I cast Smite twice.
At best.
Like
a 5 and a 6.
And then none of my army, unless it's an actual Psyker, but bearing in mind my army is all supposed to be Psykers, no one else can do Smite now. Like, I did get that, but I like the fact they have specifically said, unless you are Grey Knights.
Yeah. So yeah, we won't go into too much in the fine details for each rule, because coincidentally I put together a short video reviewing the changes in detail. So if you haven't already gone and seen my video about the big changes in the FAQ and the exact rulings, then definitely go check that out now. And thanks to everyone who's already been and seen it. It's great to see support for the channels increasing, and I'll definitely be doing more content like that in the future. So we did obviously want to talk about it on the podcast because that particular video is just me basically talking about the changes and my thoughts on it. But it'd be nice to discuss it a bit more in general and actually see what people think as a whole. So like, it's great to see that the new Smite rule is the first complete cycle of a beta rule. Proposed, tested, tweaked, implemented.
Well, to a point was already implemented. I think what was good was they basically went, oh, that rule doesn't work. So they tweaked it to begin with, which is what I think you're saying is proposed.
Yeah.
So I think they tweaked first. So they went, oh, we need to tweak how Smite works. Then had a look and went, so it's almost like tweaked, fixed. Because like,
But it was also a really quick process. Like, it didn't feel like it took a long time for them to make that change. There was a very brief window.
If you were a Grey Knight player. So
yeah,
like,
maybe.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it felt long for me and you, because it only really affected our armies in a positive way. Can you imagine being a Grey Knight player where for the last 4 months you have been sat there going, why can no one smite?
I mean, don't get me wrong, I used to find it really fun when my astropaths were just smiting all over the place.
Yeah, no one else did, no one else.
Well, Lewis's, what's it called? Dark Shroud didn't. Like, my astropaths just smited an aircraft out of the air one time. It was just funny. But I actually like it now because I've since really found I enjoy taking 3 astropaths collectively with the 3 different powers they can take. Like, being able to provide +1 save, -1 to hit, or a morale immunity is more interesting and more diverse in the game than just going smite.
That's the one thing that a beta rule did really, really well, was it made everybody go, well, I still want to have psychic denial. Because you still wanted the psychers in there to deny psychers, but it actually made you, this is my opinion, Clara, this is an actual law, but I actually think it made you use the other psychic powers which are in the book for a reason, not just to be like, oh, look at these fancy words we can put on the page.
Yeah. No, I do think it's brought a lot more diversity of psychic powers, which is brilliant, because more diversity to the game is better for both gameplay, enjoyment, and just a sense of narrative. I like the fact that my little chorus of astropaths are all sort of wandering around the battlefield trying to fulfill their different little roles, rather than just, smiting wherever comes nearby.
And as well, was I the only one who, while Smite was really powerful, was I the only one who thought it was really tactically poor?
Because you couldn't target them.
Yeah, you couldn't target anything. So if someone was smart, they just plonked something in front of you that they didn't mind being smited, like there's a Land Raider. Enjoy.
But it didn't help if you had 10 different things to smite your way through the Land Raider and then reach the thing behind it you were wanting to hit.
Yeah, I know. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying was, there was always ways to counter smite, where it was there's no way to counter the fact you've made your unit of 30 guardsmen fearless for a turn or something.
Not without just straight up trying to deny it, but then you actually end up with a bit of a battle of wills going on between enemy psychers. But yeah, so that's the smite rule is now official, despite the fact that, like you say, I agree, a lot of people probably thought it was official anyway.
It's that thing, I knew it was a beta rule, but we've been using it for what seemed, I think it's because of how much we play as well as a group. Because we'd used it for so long, it just sort of been one of those rules that had cemented itself in my head.
Yeah, so, just that's how Smite works, right?
Yeah, that's how Smite works, and it was like, oh, this is how Smite works, and part of me thought, yeah, I know. Oh, yeah, you weren't official yet. Yeah, right, fair enough.
And then in addition to that, the character targeting rule is also
same
things. Now, no tweaks to that one from the beta rule, they've just now implemented it.
But, no, to be fair, I still like the idea that they beta ruled it first to see if it worked. And let's face it, they're beta ruling it on tournaments.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, they're not beta ruling it on our play group of a few friends getting together. Because if it were, Gulliman wouldn't be able to be played. Just yeah, it's just the ridiculousnous of it. The points tweak that we've done to it in this FAQ.
Yeah, Gulliman's gone up by an extra 15 points, which I was saying earlier is okay, thanks. Gulliman players are still going to take him. They don't care about the extra 15
I feel
points.
less salty about him now that he's the same as Magnus and Mortar, or at least he's in the same ballpark now. As opposed to, I'm nearly 100 points less than Mortarian. Can't shoot me, and I'll get back up on the same number of wounds. That's what irritated me. The fact you can't pick him out, but then he stands back up, so he has that many wounds anyway.
Yeah, kind of. I'm looking forward to when I get to do that for the first time with my Necrons. The other day when I played you, when you killed that Necron Lord, I didn't have any command points left, otherwise I'd have been attempting to resurrect him. He's getting back up.
Oh, the Necron Lord I blasted to the face.
But one of the other changes, which is immediate effect, is the increase in command points that you receive for building battalion and brigade detachments. Which is why I will now have extra command points available to resurrect my Necron characters.
I like it. I think it's very odd I find it very odd that we did the Drukhari thing with the patrols to then completely nullify it a month later.
Yeah, it's an odd little... I don't want to say oversight, but it is an odd timing.
Yeah, this isn't me bagging on it, by the way. It's just one of those things as a Drukhari player. When the codex was released, I went, oh my god, patrols, cool, I get an extra command point if I run 3 patrols.
Oh, I know.
Oh wait, I'm not going to do that because I get an extra command point if I go back to running battalions, which I know how to do and love. Which, just an odd oversight, but I do like re-increasing command points.
Yeah.
Elite armies were punished far too much.
Elite armies are punished too much.
Were, with the old command point system. Because...
They're punished more now.
I don't think they are.
If you're taking an elite army,
yeah,
you're getting you're having a bigger gap in command points to taking a ship.
No, because even in an elite army, you'll probably run a battalion.
Right, so you're saying an army that's built around the core of one battalion and then maybe like a spearhead and a vanguard.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, whereas if you built an army now that was for the same points, you built 4 vanguards, you're coming in with 7 command points, whereas for the same points, if you took 2 battalions, you're coming in with 13, you're coming in twice as many.
Yeah, but you wouldn't... This is what I mean, it was more elite. Most people, I think, still ran a battalion, didn't they, as their core?
Not overly in, like, the hard lists that were really spammy for certain things. Like, for example, the old...
Going to stop you doing that anyway. The rule of 3 is going to stop you doing that.
Yeah, I know, but like...
Coming on to that later, folks.
Yeah, if you were going to take like the old 7 Hive Tyrants, and you just took 3 Supreme Commands...
Well, yeah.
You didn't have battalions in there.
Yeah, but they didn't bring you in many command points, they still brought you in 1 command point each. So you were still suffering in the sense of you still only getting 1 command point. But I'm sure... I did it the other day and it did work out that an elite army, as long as you run a battalion, is now a lot better off.
Yeah, but it is, because my point is that that's not an elite army. An elite army is an army that does not feature a battalion or a brigade.
An elite army is still very much a battalion.
I'm saying you can build them that way, and why wouldn't you now?
Yeah.
But the particularly spammy lists did not have like any troop choices.
I don't consider those armies.
Yeah.
Like, that's like, yeah, I'm on about actual armies, not 7.
Yeah, like stuff like an army where you're still building around a battalion and then you're filling out all your elite slots and all your heavies, you know.
Well, you don't even have to fill them all out, do you? But if you basically just went, here's my minimum battalion, and now the stuff I want to take, i.e. custodes.
Yeah, because it's that ingrained for you that you don't even consider taking an army without a battalion.
No.
I'm just saying.
2 HQ, 2 troops. No, 1 HQ, 2 troops minimum. But except of course now it's 2 and 3. But you know.
My 2K Necrons are totally looking to tweak to play 2 battalions. So
I'd love to get 2 battalions.
So I can rock up with 13 command points.
Yeah, I've been looking at my Drukhari to figure out if there's a way I can get in. Do you know what's stopping me? You can only get 3 fast attack in a battalion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want 4. Because
unlucky.
Because of a witch cult. So I want 2 units of Reavers and 2 units of Hellions. Can't do it in a battalion.
No.
But that's 4 command points that I'm losing.
Which is a noticeable amount of command points.
It's not 2, it's 4.
So, just to clarify, because I don't think you've actually said it yet, but battalions now give you 5. No, 5. I said earlier, didn't I? I said 5.
5, no, you didn't. It's gone from 3 to 5 for battalion, and 9 to 12.
And not from 9 to 12.
That is the biggest jump. Freaking 12 command points.
Here's a weird point with it though.
Not if you can get 2 battalions.
Yeah, right. If you're gonna take if you're gonna take the 6 compulsory troops and 4 compulsory HQs instead of 3, you rock up.
Might as well run with battalion.
Well, you take.
That was the same anyway.
No, you end up with slightly less because you get 10 command points instead of 12. But you don't have the tax of 3 elites, 3 heavies, 3 fasts. You've just gone, here's 6 compulsory troops and 4 HQs rather than 3, and then you can do whatever flexible thing you want with your list.
You've got the argument it lets you run different the legions, tactics.
Yeah, stuff like that. You could have a distinct army that was some Valhallans in one battalion and Katchans in another.
I just think it's a big jump for the brigade itself. Because the brigade always had that thing of it. It was the biggest command point earner. But there was always part of me which looked at a brigade and went, That's a lot of stuff you've got to squeeze in for 9 command points.
It's like my guard now, they used to sort of previously rock up with...
About 18, didn't they?
Well, they rocked up with a brigade and a spearhead. Sometimes they also had a vanguard. So they were typically previously looking at 9, 10, 11, about 14.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas now, I pretty much am happy just taking the brigade, and I'm able to be more flexible with my army build because I'm not having to fill out tons of compulsories. And instead, I still rock up with 15 command points.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so looking forward to playing around with that. Like, the guard feel like they've gained a bit.
Yeah, what I was saying with the elite armies is your Necrons.
I think my Necrons are a really big winner out of this. The incentive to just take 2 battalions now gives me 1 million more command points than I was looking at previously. Like, my previous 2,000 point list pre-FAQ came in with 6 command points because it was just a battalion. That's all it was. It was a battalion with then it had like 2 fasts, 2 heavies, 2 elites, like 3 HQs.
Yeah.
And now suddenly, because of the addition of the FAQ and the new codex, I'm looking at running 2 battalions. So I'm going to be running 6 troops, 4 HQs, and then like 2 heavies, 2 fasts, 2 elites, or something like that. You know. But trying to squeeze for that second battalion has made me actually consider playing Immortal squads at 6 strong rather than 10.
Mm.
Because, so my 2 battalions is, 1 battalion is a full unit of 10 Immortals, and 2 units of 12 Warriors.
So you're going to Warriors as well?
A bit of a screening unit in order to fill out my battalions. Because then my second battalion is just 3 units of 6 Immortals. So previously I was running 30 Immortals and just 3 squads of 10. Like, that was my 1 battalion. Whereas now I'm running,
28.
I'm running 28 Immortals. I'm actually running 2 less Immortals, but I've got 2 battalions.
Yeah, and you're getting extra command points.
Yeah, I'm going to get way more command points. Like, suddenly I've gone from playing with 6 to playing with 13 command points of my Necrons. And I think that's going to be brilliant for the game because it's going to incentivise people to use some of those slightly more edge case stratagems that are the really flavourful ones. The ones that I think like they fit the narrative so well and they do such wonderful things on the tabletop.
But you're not going to do them if you've only got 4 command points.
Yeah. Like, in the Guard one, I absolutely love the inclusion of the preliminary bombardment stratagem. I used it for the first time the other week against Brett because it's weird. It's a stratagem where you want both the enemy to have lots of units, but you also want them to be elite units.
Is that one where you basically mortal wound shit?
Yeah, after deployment before the first battle round, for 3 command points, I roll a dice per enemy unit on the table, or 6, it suffers a mortal wound. Now, Brett had like 18 units deployed between all his Tau. So like on average, I should cause 3 mortal wounds across his army. But when his army was like, oh, well, there's a bunch of Riptides, there's a bunch of broadsides, there's his commander, there's several units of drones. Like, he had 3 units of marker drones. If I just take 1 marker drone out from each unit, it's really a big hit on that unit. Like, oh, he's got 1 marker drone down before even starting the game. And that's what I ended up doing. I think I took out a fire warrior out of one of his units.
Yeah, that's what you really don't want to be doing. I didn't really care about fire warriors dying.
But I killed 2 marker drones before the game started.
That's good, man.
It's like, there you go, there's 2 less marker drones to deal with. Now, maybe that might not have been something that was the most investive use of 3 command points, but I was like, I've got like 15 to play with, and I'm going to be recovering them. So hell yeah, let's do that fun stratagem. And now, if you've on average, you've probably just gained an extra 3 command points. I could just do that preliminary bombardment in any game I played previously and didn't do it.
Yeah.
And I could have just started with a bombardment for the fun of it.
I can't think of one I'd do. Probably would fight twice.
Yeah, actually, you might bother fighting twice.
Not with Drukhari, but yeah, you know what I mean.
There's a few fun ones. I know I need to go back and revise looking at my demons in particular, how I'm going to approach army building with them, because of the other big change to the game. The first of the 2 new beta rules.
No more upper striking.
So Whereas the additional command points is just a new thing they've immediately implemented. That's a change in rules, as of now, done. Tactical reserve change is a new beta rule, so it's going to be tested by the community, see how people respond to it, and see if it gets implemented.
Everybody's going to whine.
Everybody is going to whine, but at the same time, I also think everybody's going to be on board with it.
Have you seen how much everyone's whined already?
Oh yeah, tons. So the big change is the fact that basically you can't deep strike on turn 1, or at least you can't deep strike outside of your own deployment zone.
You can deep strike in your own deployment zone.
So
which is why it hasn't affected me. My Ravager's deep striking in my deployment zone is A-OK.
Yeah, to avoid being shot.
Yeah, to avoid being shot, they'll drop in on my deployment edge 36-inch range weapons and that.
But all the Sanguinary Guards, the Chaos Terminators, the Warp Talons, your Bloodletter Bombs, all the rest of it
still exist.
They do still exist.
Can I get this across? They still exist, right? You can't bring them in turn 1 and turn 1 charge something. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Right?
You can turn 2 charge something with them.
Yeah.
Easily.
And turn 2, you're probably going to be doing more damage anyway, because you've had a turn to soften up all the screening units.
I always use this principle with my Bloodthirster anyway. My Bloodthirster never turned up turn 1.
No.
It was like, turn 1 was for clearing screening units and soaking up damage and weakening things a little bit. Then the big hitter comes in.
Yeah. And can anyone just rewind to 7th as well, where you had units that may or may not have turned up anyway? Like this whole guaranteed turn 1. Nothing turned up turn 1 anyway. Nothing. If you held it in tactical reserve or deep strike, it just wasn't there turn 1. Right? And then turn 2, you had a 50-50 chance that unit was going to turn up. So if you held your Bloodletter Bomb in your demons, how many squads is that?
Well, it'd be one squad of 30 typically is a Bloodletter Bomb.
No, but the armless you run, isn't it? Like
I run like 3 units of Bloodletters. I can run 1 unit of 20 and 2 units of 10.
And then you've got the character and the Bloodthirster.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Right. So at least 2 of those weren't going to turn up, but you didn't get to choose which. You didn't get.
But that said as well, there used to be a time when I put my entire army in Deep Strike with demons in 7th Ed.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, but I also didn't get to guarantee which part of the army showed.
That was when you had to pick the wave, didn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I'll have a Khorne wave, which I really want to turn up turn 1, and I'll have a Zinch wave as my backup wave. Which one's turning up first? Zinch wave.
That was back when I used to play like 6 Demon Princes before it was cool. And I put all 6 of them in one wave. Like, I put them all in one wave and was like, turn 1, 6 monsters. Yeah. But every 3rd game, it'd be like, turn 1, 2 units of Plague Bearers.
Your phone went, great.
And then, like, turn 2 onwards, periodically Demon Princes started showing up just to get shot.
Yeah, and a Demon Prince. Okay.
That was funny.
Yeah,
but yeah, I do think a lot of people have got a little spoiled by it and kind of forgotten that, in 7th and 6th Ed, turn 1 deep strikes were not a thing anyway.
It was only a year ago.
But
how quick we forget.
That was 7th Ed. 8th Ed, in a world where deep striking turn 1 doesn't happen, or at least it happens differently. Like, there are still units which can do it, things like Sineshi Demons, Genestealer Cults.
Orcs.
I think there's a particular Tyranid High Fleet that can do it. With
Orcs are still going to be coming at you.
Orcs with the jump, the Catan, the Deceiver with the ability to redeploy units. So there's ways of doing it. But the point is, it's a more limited number.
The key is redeployment. You can't, anything which isn't on the table turn 1 can't suddenly appear outside of your deployment zone.
Yeah. But that in itself is going to change the face of the game because people are going to start taking those things. You might see the Bloodletter Bomb, yes, but it's not going to turn to turn 2. In addition to the Bloodletter Bomb, you might now see the 20-strong Seeker unit that just wants to turn 1 dive on you, because it can. Or you might see Keepers of Secrets with 15-inch moves with Warlord traits who can advance and charge, and just be like, I'm just going to charge at you instead.
I'm just going to run across the board in 1 turn. Stop that. I'm glad with it, personally. I was never against, don't get me wrong, it's not like I sat there and didn't take turn 1 deep striking units because that would have been stupid. But now that we're going back to effectively you can only charge from a deep strike on turn 2, like from 7th, I am quite happy. I think it adds the tactical back to tactical reserves.
Yeah.
You drop in where you're needed, you take out what's needed that turn, not I've been tactically held in reserve for 5 minutes, and now I'm going to drop in and murder your front line.
My tactical reserves are 7 Hive Tyrants.
Well, they don't seem very tactical. Where are we going? 1 foot away from you.
The main thing for me that's the positive change with it is the fact that it means more people are going to actually play games. It's going to feel more like games happen, because you're not going to get as many instances where it's just turn 1, someone tables the other player.
Oh, you are. Because what I think has been missed by this rule, personally, is the big danger has always been, and still very much is, Alpha Strike shooting is more powerful than Alpha Strike charges.
Yes, that has sort of come up a little bit. Is that basic?
If you can shoot an entire army or 50% of someone's army off the board in 1 turn, you were more powerful than someone who could deep strike in and charge you with most of his army. And that hasn't changed.
No, it hasn't. But it stopped things like you being able to just drop in immediately in rapid fire range with like plasmas, or dropping straight in with like fusion weapons at half range and stuff like that. You know, it's curbed a few things. So, like you were saying with your Ravagers, the main difference is the fact that yes, you can still deep strike turn 1 with ranged units and still get good use out of them.
Yeah.
But they're going to still have to be ranging from your deployment zone.
Yeah, so it's still going to be the ones with range.
Yeah, they're going to be the ones that could have been firing at you turn 1 if they were just deployed anyway.
Do you know what unit I think it's actually made better?
Which?
This Southern Obliterators.
In what way?
Because whilst I don't think if you were using them right, they'd turn up turn 1 anyway, you're not even tempted now.
Yeah, it's like, I'm not even going to fall for the false truth that is turn 1 Obliterators.
Yeah, turn 1 Obliterator where they'll turn up and die. You just turn up turn 2 and go, oh, that's what we were supposed to be killing.
So that's how these were meant to work.
Oh, they turn up and they kill whatever was squishy. Right, okay. I just think it has put tactical back into tactical reserves. I think it's very...
Well, the other thing is that the fact that everyone will get a chance to fan out a little bit now, because you're going to get your turn 1 movement with whatever you've got on the table. If you went second, you're still going to be able to move out of your deployment zone with anything.
Yeah, you're not going to get instant pinned.
No, which gives you a bit of breathing room. Because even if you're an army that's, you know, essentially castling up and you just move your screening units forward, that means that the turn that the enemy drops in front of your screening units, they're not on top of you, like breathing down your neck as soon as they've killed the screen.
You should think more about where you're going to move your screening units from.
Yeah.
Because you can't move too far forward, because when my turn 2 reserves, which were never a thing, are now going to drop behind screening units. Just like, well, they weren't a good screen. I'm using these at the door.
The key big change, I think, really, is that it's going to put more game in your games.
Yeah, I suppose.
You're going to get to play more Warhammer rather than just showing up and taking your models off the table.
I think it depends. If you're playing a turn 1 shooting Alpha Strike, it's not going to be effective. But I get what you mean. It's taken away with charging Alpha Strike, is what it's done.
Yeah, things like the Chaos Terminators dropping in with combi plasmas and Veterans of the Long War.
Mm-hmm.
You can't drop in outside your deployment zone, so you're not going to be dropping in rapid fire range.
You are turn 2.
You're also going to be turn 2 charging with Alpha Strikers.
Oh yeah, I know.
Or Beta Strikers.
He's just moved Alpha Strike. It's just now Beta Strike.
It's made it like...
You heard that term here first.
It's made it more of a gameplay like scenario. It's actually things are going to play out because stuff is happening and people are reacting to it.
I think
as opposed to just deploy and then I have to deal with whatever situation occurs.
I think they've actually gone back to 7th edition. I think they made a conscious decision to do it, personally. Obviously, I don't know what they actually think about this, is a guess. I think they may have actually made a conscious decision to go back to 7th ed and how tactical reserved works, because it wasn't that broken.
No, I mean, drop pods were, but Deep Strike as a whole wasn't.
Drop pods are just so useless now. They can't even drop outside of a deployment zone. Like, it's turn 1, and it's got to be in your deployment zone. What is the point of a drop pod?
I used to like that when I did it with my Waves of Demons because I had nothing on the table. I gave the first turns to Space Marine with drop pods, and then all they did was drop pod into the deployment zone.
Go on, man. We're in deep throat. We're in deep throat.
Yeah. No, I think drop pods are paying their dues this edition because they've been too good for too long.
When you said that the other day, they're paying their dues. They were too good. Now they must be rubbish.
Come 9th edition, they'll be good again, and they'll probably be balanced. But
why 9th? Chaos have had to wait so long to get good again after, was it 3rd edition?
Probably. No, I think it was 4th edition 40k, but it was like 3rd edition Chaos Codex.
Yeah, 3rd edition Chaos Codex. We've had to wait like 4 editions for our Retribution. Make drop pods wait for. For all of you newlings out there, look up 4th edition Chaos and you'll realise why we've had to wait 4th edition.
So it is really going to change the face of the game, is the fact that you're not going to be deep striking outside of your deployment zone turn 1. There's going to be more gameplay, and deep strike and assault reserves are not dead. They're not at all. They still have a lot of use.
They weren't intending to kill them though.
I think there's a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, and a lot of people are sort of like reacting a bit too...
The internet knee-jerk reaction.
Exactly.
Slander.
I think it's going to make things a lot better in the long run. I think it's great. But the key thing is that it's still debatable. Like, ultimately, if the community as a whole, if too many of us think that it's not a good change for the
I don't
game.
necessarily think it's what we think, I think they're watching what it does to tournaments.
Oh yeah, we know that. Like, that's where the Games Workshop gets most of their informed information from.
I don't necessarily think they're saying, hey, do you like this rule? I think they're just
seeing how it affects the game.
We're watching and we're looking at it, and if they suddenly go and go, well, actually, this has just completely ruined what people were doing. But I think they're looking at how they intended the rules to work as well. They never intended Alpha Strike to be like that.
No. And speaking of intended rules, the second beta rule they've introduced in the new FAQ is the Battle Brothers FAQ. Which is basically, it's putting a cap on soup. So we did a podcast a while ago about whether or not mixed codex armies should exist, and it's been one of the most popular podcast episodes we've done. So clearly it was a big topic, and basically this is Games Workshop's official answer, and it's yes they should, but not like that.
Yes they should, but you've all broken it.
They've openly said that when they created 8-fed mixed armies, they intended it for you to be able to narratively mix, your army together. The Imperium could show up as an Imperial fighting force. It wouldn't just be Space Marines. But they've decided to sort of limit it a bit more towards open and narrative play, where...
Because we didn't do it as we thought that we would.
Yeah, where the mixed forces make a bit more sense, and they want to sort of put a bit more of a balanced playing field when it comes to match play.
I think it's our own fault to a degree of giving nerds something and expecting them not to twist and break it to our own devices.
Yeah, they've said that it was all the extreme scenarios that were basically showing up at tournaments and organised events, which were...
Please elaborate.
So, the Supreme Commands that contain Gulliman and St. Celestine and the Primus Psyker, the battalions that had guard squads in it and Hellblasters.
Oh, you mean like the Supreme Commands that turned up with Mortari and Magnus?
Yeah, Bash Bros. And so on. They've sort of said, this is not how it was intended to be used, so we're going to stop it being used like that in match play.
You're breaking it. You're breaking our beautiful design.
But again, I think it's a good change. It doesn't massively affect us as a playgroup because we all sort of conformed to the new restrictions anyway. Basically,
it's only because we play more narrative army lists.
Yeah, but basically the new changes set a small list of keywords that can't be used as your Battleforge keyword anymore. So you can't use things like keyword Imperium, keyword Chaos in order to mix units in detachments with those keywords. So you're a bit more restricted to things like Adaptus Astartes, Craft World, Iandan,
You can still do Smash Bros, you'd just be really limited to what your last third detachment would be. Because you could do Magnus with 2 dirt cheap HQ choices, and Mortarion with 2 dirt HQ choices from the Death Guard, and then you just battalion in the middle.
But then you're getting a lot of command point tax then, especially when taking battalions and such is where you would get all those new command points now.
Ah, yeah, I know you're getting a lot of tax, but it's something.
Yeah, so that's why
they haven't actually nerfed it, which is very clever of them. They haven't said you
curbed
can't do it. They haven't said there's no way you can't do it, but if you're going to do it, you're going to have to pay high tax, which you should do if you want Martarian and Magnus in an army, or if you want Guilliman and Saint Celestine in an army.
Yeah.
Like, you should have to suffer. No, wrong word. But you should have to.
You should have to be invested.
Yeah, invested in that idea rather than just you can just throw them in. Still stand by the easiest way to solve the issue I would give themselves is get rid of the Supreme Commander faction.
I won't be surprised if maybe we see that in the errata in September, because there's still a lot of bad feeling towards the Supreme Commander.
I think it's one of the worst things we've ever done. It doesn't even make sense narratively. Like, not really. Why would you have a Supreme Command detachment on the battlefield?
It depends on the nature of the battle, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Most 40k battles are supposed to represent the skirmish.
Which still makes it funny when, Magnus and Mortarion turn up to one skirmish.
When they're on the same team, yeah, that's stupid, but when they're fighting against each other, it's like they've sought each other out on the battlefield to try and end them, the other one, that's fair enough. But yeah, Supreme Command detachment, so what's turned up in this area of this frontline battle? 7 Hive Tyrants, sir.
What now?
Why do I want to break us at this part so much?
Sorry, wait, what? So yeah, we'll have to see whether or not the Battle Brothers beta rule and the Tactical Reserve beta rules are still with us come September. I imagine they will be.
I can't see the Battle Brothers one getting changed that much. Unless they decide that Supreme Command being taken out is just easier.
And then finally, the other air quotes new rule is another.
New rule.
It's organised play suggestion. So the rule of 3.
See this, but I'm doing a very unimpressed look at Hillary.
Oh, it's like it is with the cap on detachments.
No, I suppose we've never played that.
Like the 2,000 point cap of up to 3 detachments in 2,000 points is suggested organised play for organised play events. And the new suggested organised play event rule is the rule of 3, where you're not allowed more than 3 of any one data sheet in your army list.
Yeah, okay.
But, a bit like the old Smite beta rule, I reckon it's just going to be accepted pretty much as gospel straight away. Like, I think people... because I think a lot of people will be wanting to play test with it for events they plan to go to.
A lot of people follow what's going to happen with it. It depends how widely used it is in the tournament.
I reckon it's going to be used a lot because I reckon that's going to... It's going to bring that variety to gameplay, which is what people want to see. We've all seen posts recently about people complaining about how they're not enjoying organised play because they go to events and it's like, oh look, I played 7 Hive Tyrants, and the next game I played 7 Demon Princes. So the rule of 3 as a whole, not being allowed more than 3 of any one data sheet in an army list, so long as it is not a troop choice or dedicated transport.
Very glad they didn't get caught in that oversight.
Yeah, otherwise a lot of armies would be stuck.
I'd say most.
Yeah.
Imagine if you can only have 3.
Most armies realistically only have 2 troop choice options. There's not many that have more than that.
Drukhari, right? You have 1 troops choice option
Per faction, as it were.
Per faction.
So
if you go on a Cablite, it goes, you have Cablite warriors. Can you imagine if I only had a rule of 3 on 3 Cablite warriors, and then a rule of 3 on my dedicated transports? So in total, across my army, I can have 3 raiders.
Look at your orcs. You'd have 3 units of orc boys.
Yeah.
And then if you needed more battalions, it'd be 3 units of Gretchen.
And then I'm done.
Necron warriors and mauls. That's it.
Yeah.
Even Space Marines. Like, Space Marines only have 3 options now because of the Primus squad. You've got Scouts, Tacticals, and now recently, Intercessors.
Yeah, Chaos, you've got the Chaos Space Marines and Cultists.
And then if you happen to be a relevant Legion, whichever your dedicated unit is.
But you'd have to be a Legion to get the third one.
To do it. But anyway, hence it's good that they are.
But we're digressing.
What this does mean is the death of 7 Hive Tyrants. Like, I was perfectly fine with it as a concept, but I was just like, the trouble is when it eliminates anything else being useful or equivalently good.
I think the reason I disliked it as a concept was the same reason that I always start to dislike a really heavy meta. It became that thing of, alright, so people are running 7 Hive Tyrants. The only way I can beat 7 Hive Tyrants is if I take
8 Hive Tyrants.
Is if I take 9 Hive Tyrants. So then you're just like, well, what's... Okay, so you can't beat this list unless you're running that list. Whereas, what this does is it... Weirdly, by restricting what you can put in your army, it's going to cause you to have more variety.
Yeah. It does. Like, I was looking at my guard, trying to work out how I actually want to fill out my battalion slots, brigade slots, when I'm actually limited to no more than 3 heavy weapon teams. Like,
yeah.
It's odd that I can't have more than 3 sets of heavy weapon teams. I can't have more than 3 special weapon squads, you know. I can't have more than 3 command squads. It's really weird. So, like, I've looked at going, right, well, maybe this is my reason to actually put my heavy weapon teams in my infantry squads. Because that way...
Heavy bolters everywhere.
Oh, I wish I had heavy bolters.
Heavy bolters, Cadians. Kill box.
I'll be having to go with autocannons for a little while.
Kill boxes, Hillary. Kill boxes everywhere.
In general, like, the rule of 3, again, I think is going to be a rule that's just going to pretty much be universally accepted. It's going to bring more variety to games.
It's going to annoy people again.
You're going to end up with odd edge cases. Like I say, I find it odd that I can't take more than 3 company commanders now, which I get would be a little spammy in itself, but when I'm writing the list, it doesn't feel it.
The only thing I've noticed, I keep banging on about Drukhari, but that's because that's what I'm list writing for at the moment.
When you're going to struggle to have more than 3 Cabal anythings, because you can only have 3 Archons.
Yeah, so basically that means you can only have 1 battalion of each thing.
I feel for Tau, like I feel for Brett, when it's actually, you can only have... He's limited to 1 commander per detachment, and he can only have 3 commanders max.
Yeah.
You
can only have 3 Fireblades across.
But he can only have 3 Fireblades across his army as well. So it's like, realistically, almost every Tau build, I would assume, if it's going to include any kind of infantry, and to be fair, if it's going to include a battalion or anything that has more than 1 compulsory HQ, you're basically going to be seeing Commander Fireblade, Commander Fireblade, Commander Fireblade, or arguably Commander Ethereal, Commander Ethereal.
It's going to make people run Ethereals, I think.
I reckon you might actually see Ethereals on the table for the first time in a long
Brett
time.
used to run 4 Fireblades, didn't
He did. Can't now.
he?
So, Fireblades. But it's like, look at me. I'm going to be playing Commissar, like Lord Commissars for the first time ever.
Oh yeah, because you can't run your company commanders.
Because I can't run my 4th company commander. So it's like, actually, you know what? I'm going to have some Lord Commissars. They're going to come support the army instead. And I'm looking forward to using them. But I'm only using them because of new restrictive list building elements. And I like it because it's making me use units that are cool, but aren't necessarily like what you would have used if you could just repeatedly spam anything.
Yeah.
Every episode, we like to look back at our recent games of 40k and share some of our favourite moments, those that were particularly memorable, hilarious, or just super tense. Now, you say you've actually got 2 favourite moments.
I do! I've played games!
Yes, for the first time in a while, Kyle's actually played some games, so you can contribute to this segment.
I have a codex now! I have a codex!
Yep, so you've actually been bringing some models to the table, namely your Drukhari.
Yeah, boy. So, the first favourite moment does come from the first game that I played with my Drukhari. Basically, I ran, because I love Scourges as a unit, but alas, I feel like we're suffering from the same thing we've always suffered from. There's better things to take in fast attack. For a fast attack option, there's just better things that you want to be taking.
Yeah.
So you're probably not going to see that many Scourges, I don't think.
But they are fun.
They're fun. Because what can happen is you can hold a unit of 5 in tactical reserve.
And show up on turn 2.
And well, yeah. But, which is actually what we did, but it didn't show up turn 2.
My point exactly.
Yeah. We showed up on turn 2 to drop in, to clear out the middle of the table.
As they should.
Yeah. which got me area denial.
Perfect.
Brett's Tau then fired back on them, killing all but one Scourge, who did not run because he was fearless. Next turn, I drew a tactical objective, which was to land to have a unit in Brett's deployment zone.
Guess who was nearby with a set of wings?
Fearless Scourge, in he flew, and knocked a wound off a Fireblade because it landed that close to a Fireblade. He just shot him with his splinter cannon. Brett forgot about the Scourge because he was just one model.
Too busy killing other things.
Yeah. And then I had to hold the objective, which was in the middle of a table.
Guess who's near the centre of the table?
Guess who's near the centre of the table with a unit of wings? Fearless Scourge flew back over. So in 3 turns, that Scourge got me 3 command point. In 3 turns, that Scourge got me 3 victory points, and Brett was furious.
All by his lonesome.
He did then get shot by, I think, like broadsides just to prove a point. But Brett was like furious at the fact that this one Scourge had just basically meant that I just kept up with him on victory points. Because we were playing that gamble one as well, I think.
Oh yeah, the tactical gambit.
I think we were.
Yeah, I like that mission. That's fun.
But it just kept meaning that I kept getting the amount of gambles because it was like, oh, he can just get there.
It's like, and fly up there.
Yeah, that was fun. The second one was against your Necrons.
Yeah, where I played my first game with the new Necron codex.
Yeah, and it was my second game with my Drukhari codex.
Yeah.
But I personally enjoy. I think this is probably one of your least favourite moments. Or at least it makes sense if it was. But I enjoyed the unkillable warrior.
Yeah, random Cabalite in the centre of the table when I needed to clear the centre of the table.
What? Do you want to tell it, Hillary? Go on, you tell it.
Basically, I rolled up area denial, and it was really important that I got it that turn because I had to keep pace with Kyle's victory points. And there were just 2 Cabalites in the centre of the table, like 2, not 1 unit of 2, 2 units of 1. That were just hanging out on objective markers, doing their thing.
Doing what they do.
So I'd send my Catacomb command barge floating over to, in theory, eradicate both these interlopers. And I was like, 1 wounded guys, I'm firing a Gauss cannon and the Voltic staff, so a relic staff of light. Split firing, 3 shots at each of them. They're all multi-damage weapons, so odds of him passing his feel no pains are really slim. And Staff of Light absolutely obliterated 1 warrior. Perfect.
Oh yeah, nothing left. Nothing left of him.
However, the Gauss cannon failed to kill this 1 Cavalite warrior.
In spectacular fashion, it failed.
What was it? 3 shots, 1 hit, 1 hit fails to wound.
Yep.
It's just like, ugh, how is that thing not dead?
You are right in the sense that probably wouldn't have passed my feel no pain, but you just failed to make me take it.
Yeah, I know. I was just like, I should be able to split fire and deal with both these targets, no problem. Which forced me to have to charge that 1 random warrior who happened to be a blaster armed warrior, so I didn't fancy charging my...
It was your face when you were like, I'll charge, and I was like, oh, I really hope I hit him Overwatch.
Thankfully you didn't.
Oh, it would have been great though.
But then the sheer suspense of my lord sort of fluffed his attacks and only got 1 wound through on him. And it's just like, don't you dare roll a 6. Don't roll a 6.
There were so many parts of that game though, where you were like, do not roll a 6.
So just die, just stay dead. Don't pass that 6-up save. It's really annoying.
Very quickly, that is my favourite bit of the Drukhari book. How
the 6-up power from pain.
Yeah, I know it was the same in the index, but for some reason it just, because the rest of the army works better together.
It makes every linchpin survivor more relevant.
Yeah, and it's just brilliant. It has annoyed you to the point of you have lost your... Other people don't know this, but it's very rare for Hillary to lose composure during a game.
I was like, just die!
And he was begging the dice to not roll 6s in that game.
Your witch, your Cyberite,
Yeah, the succubus. Yeah,
The succubus, your witch character, who's your warlord. 3 times she passed a 6-up field of pain when she would otherwise have died.
Yes,
And he was like, she won't fall that. I finally got past the 3-up invuln. Then he passes the 6-up field of pain. It was like, stop it, just stay dead.
No, because she was never dead. She didn't feel anything.
And while it wasn't the aim, towards the end of the game, it was looking like I was going to table you. And in the end, you had one single model. It was an Archon on 1 wound, whose Shadow Field at this point had failed, but he was not dead because he insisted on passing handfuls of 6-up saves. Like, he probably passed 3 of them throughout the game.
Yeah,
but by passing those 3 saves, he wasn't dead on his single wound by the end of the game.
Yeah.
Yes, that was annoying. However, in that same game against my Necrons, I had my favourite moment from recent games. And it's a really simple one, and I'm surprised how much it was just nice. How enjoyable it was. I played the new Necron Lords, so not the Overlord, the regular Lord whose aura ability has changed from being reroll fill morale, or Necrons, wow, to your typical lieutenant role of reroll 1s to wound with a 6-inch aura. And it's really odd, but just coincidentally, because the armies I play, I've not yet played with any reroll 1s aura character in 8th edition. And my god, am I already sick to death of playing against them. But only because I don't have any of my own. Like, I don't mind it. I don't think it's a broken rule. I think it's a very, like, cornerstone thing of 8th edition. You know, leadership and command is often represented by reroll 1 bubbles in some shape or form. And I just didn't really sort of realise it until I used this Lord for the first time. That I was like, I haven't done this yet. I've been watching my opponents do it all the time. But, like, my guards kind of have it with orders, but it's not the same. It's like, my demons just don't have it because I prefer use of greater demons to demon
That is your
monsters.
choice, though.
It is, but in the same way that anyone playing Space Marines could choose not to take a captain or a lieutenant.
Well, no, you're right, they could.
Yeah.
They could.
Um,
I've heard the other one, no, I couldn't. And then I was like, no, it is a choice.
yeah.
Stupid choice, but...
And then Orcs as well, where I don't believe they actually have a reroll 1s aura, do they?
No, every roll charges.
But naturally, and then the ability to advance and charge,
yeah.
and so on, stuff like that. Like, you've got handfuls of things, but I haven't played with an army that has a reroll 1s aura, and just consistently being able to go, oh, these guys firing their weapons, oh, reroll 1s, oh, reroll 1s. Like, I like this. It's like, turns out rerolls are good.
It turns out rerolls are useful, man. On a side note, I'm starting to like the Splinter Rack for that reason. When you couple it with the reroll 1s of a flayed skull.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, 6s to hit. Well, I'm intending to do the same thing with Triarch Stalkers and Teslas. It's like on the Highlander Dynasty and Teslas. I'm hitting on 2s, re-rolling 1s, but re-rolling those 1s gives me a potential to roll a 5+, and therefore Tesla.
Yeah, so I'm really toying with the idea of keeping them in Raiders rather than with Venoms, which people seem to be going with. But I know why Venoms are one of choice, because they do put out more rapid fire hits. Anyway.
So yes, it's a really simple favourite moments from us this week, but they really were favourite moments.
Mine are very much trolling moments, for which I make no apologies.
I just felt like I was finally part of the party. I was like, I finally have a reroll or a...
I just really enjoy playing with a codex.
Yeah, that's the part of the party you've finally been able to
It's
join.
like, oh my god, this is what it's like to have all these stratagems.
I can actually just do things. I can spend my command points on things other than counter assaults and rerolls.
Yes, it was like first game against Brett when he went to shoot something, -1 to hit that.
How good did that feel?
Felt brilliant, Hillary. Screw you.
Screw you, Tau. -1 to hit.
Hit like an orc. Hit like an orc.
Now you know our pain. Yeah, I think it probably did help that you're also an orc player.
Yeah, it did, yeah. I love making anything hit like an orc. Because it doesn't bother me, I'm used to it.
No.
It upsets someone else.
Each month there are a number of new and upcoming releases from Games Workshop, and we do like to take a look at some of them and discuss our thoughts on them. So there's not actually a huge amount of new releases for 40k this month, particularly because of the release of the IDNF Deepkin in Age of Sigma, which they do look like amazing models.
Yeah,
but
and to be fair, you can't have it 40k every month.
yeah, I know, it's fair enough, isn't it?
Like,
But
we've had a good solid 8 months of just being the top. The top system in the brand.
but that's why actually there's a handful of new things from Forge World in the last couple of weeks that have been announced or revealed, and they look really, really nice. The main one being this particular random space marine who claims to be Alfarius.
Which is wrong, because I'm Alfarius.
I think you'll find out I'm Alfarius. Have you seen the new Alfarius model?
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's my favourite thing about it is he's tiny.
Because he should be.
Because he should be. Because he's meant to be only marginally bigger than a normal sized space marine. Because he can disguise himself as them. You see, like Dawn and Gulliman. There's no way Gulliman is disguising himself as a Primaris marine.
No.
Let alone a tactical marine.
But I love that. I love the fact they've stuck with it. And they've been like, oh no, Alfarius blends in.
Right.
He's only bigger because of his base. If you look at the actual model, he is pretty much a space marine size.
Yeah, he looks like he's roughly 5% larger. You can see he is just a little tiny bit bigger. He is just... It's weird how he's small. He looks smaller than a Primus Marine. Like, the scale difference between a Primus Marine and a Tactical, you can see it.
Yeah.
But the difference between Alfarius and a regular Heresy Marine, it's not obvious, but you can see it.
Yeah, because he's supposed to be slightly taller, isn't he?
Yeah, but then that said as well, Alpha Legionnaires, Alpha Legion Marines are meant to be a bit bigger than regular Marines because they're closer to Alfarius' actual size. But yeah, it's lovely. And the model is his full armour for war. He's not disguising himself as a Marine as such, he is quite clearly in the full battle gear.
Really, we've painted him up in the
Scaled armour
as well.
It looks lovely.
Yeah.
And the spear he's got with the curling blade tips looks amazing. It looks so cool where he's skewering a marine. The paint scheme of the scales is lovely.
It's a bit hard to discuss it because I just like the model. The model's just very nice.
I think the really clever thing they've done with it is it doesn't come with an unhelmeted version.
Good.
So you can never be certain if it's actually Alfarius in the armour.
You know what I'd do if you were going to run that model in a 40k Alpha Legion army? When you kill Alfarius...
Keep moving that model
Yeah,
around.
keep moving that model.
I'd do the exact same thing.
No. This Dark Apostle is Alfarius all along.
Yep. Alfarius is over here. Ha-ha! And then...
Well, the reason that there's no unhelmeted one is it Alfarius or is it Omegon or is it a spy? Exactly.
It could be anyone. It's such a clever model. Everything about it.
Is it even a marine or is it just a robot that Alfarius has put there to make you think it's Alfarius?
And then the other new release from Forge World is the Solar Auxilia Strike Force, which I only saw these for the first time today, and
that's what you showed me.
Yeah, man, do they look amazing. It's the Imperial Army. So it's the...
Steampunk Guard!
Yeah, Steampunk Guard from the Heresy. And the Command Squad in particular.
Telescope Man!
Telescope Man, the Company Commander, the Banner, Vox Guy.
Telescope Man is sidekick radio guy.
I love
the
Telescope.
Banner looks sick.
I love Telescope Man. I want more.
I like Telescope Man, but it looks... I can't think of it. Terry Pratchett. It looks like a Terry Pratchett invention. It looks like a Terry Pratchett.
It looks like he's come straight out of the Unseen University. Ha
It's brilliant. Looks absolutely brilliant.
It is.
Cool.
They are really cool. They probably surprised me. I hadn't seen them before, and then I was like, "Wow, these are really nice models." Even the Ogrins.
Yeah, the Ogrins, steampunk. I love how they've gone full blown steampunk with it all. It's very clever.
They're cool. I'm really, really tempted to get a handful of them to integrate into my guard, into my command squads, and be my characters. If they sell the command squad individually at any point, I totally want to pick it up.
Yeah, the only issue I can see with them at the moment is you can only get it in Strike Force, can't you?
I think so, yeah.
£300 at the minute, isn't it?
But if ever they sell that command squad separately, I want to pick up a set of it because it looks lovely.
Oh, it looks very cool. The only reason I'm making fun of The telescope man is just going to how funny and cool he looks. I don't think he's actually a bad model. I think he's brilliant. Like, you could quite happily say, this is my Master of Ordnance, known as an eyelid.
So yeah, if you haven't seen them, I'd definitely go check them out because I think there's some lovely models just to squeeze into special weapons squads, command squads, command characters. They're really
them sort of models are definitely worth a look, even if like you're not intending to use them. I think.
Yeah.
As silly as that sounds, they're just really worth a look to be like, oh, that's something cool and different. Because it's not a marine. It's Forge World doing something which isn't marines.
Yeah, or just seeing Imperial Army stuff, like not the Guard, but the pre-heresy Imperial Army is really cool to actually see. Because they were following a lot of the expedition fleets around. Like, a lot of the manpower with some of the legions was actually the Imperial Army they had alongside them.
Yeah, we get forgotten a lot, don't we?
Yeah, they sort of forget that they exist, like the Astronautarum existed. Not by that name, but it did exist in one form or another during the heresy.
I think we get forgotten because by the time the heresy, I think, is in full swing, they are being used to a point, but the decisive battles are the legions versus the legions.
Yeah, but it's because of the figureheads of the Primarchs, isn't it? It's all about the Primarchs.
Well, yeah. Do you really care about the Imperial Army whilst...
No, not when you've got the Emperor and the Primarchs wandering around in the same time frame.
Yeah, whilst Fulgrim's beheading Gulliman. Sorry, cutting Gulliman's throat so he can be put in stasis to be reborn later.
It's alright, Fulgrim's going to come back to rectify that in a bit.
Killing John Gulliman.
And then speaking of things that are just cool and you should check out, is... with the big release of all the IDF Deep King in Age of Sigmar, my god, there are some amazing sculpts on those models.
Yeah, I haven't seen what you're about to mention, the terrain piece.
Yeah, so the new terrain piece they released for Age of Sigmar, the Etheric Vortex Gloomtide Shipwreck.
It sounds cool.
And it looks amazing.
I can imagine it's amazing. I've seen the new guy who's like riding a wave.
Yeah, like he is a wave in his cloak.
A wave in it, like, oh my, that looks beautiful.
Like, they're amazing looking models, and I'm hoping that we start seeing a whole release of fancy new things for 40k on a similar level of sculpts. Because, like, I've mentioned this before, right, that apart from the release of the Primus Marines, and I know, the Death Guard, I guess, I don't think there's actually been a huge number of newly released models for 40k in the last year. Not really.
No, we've been focused more on the rules.
Which I understand why, but I also think the Ideneth Deep King are kind of the reason why. Because this is a complete new range they've done, obviously in their production time. And they've been done so well and to such an extent that I reckon that's why there's been less fancy new sculpts and stuff for 40k, because they've been doing all this. So hopefully in the next 12 months we start seeing equivalent stuff for 40k.
We did other stuff as well not too long ago where we blood bride people. The Serpent Lady.
Graphy. Yeah. So the Daughters of Cain got a load of new stuff.
They got loads of new stuff. You've seen a lot of new sculpts in Age of Sigmar to make
a lot more by comparison to new sculpts in 40k.
Yeah, but I think that's to make up for the fact that 40k's seen most of the advancement in rules and storyline.
Oh yeah, it's like I'm not complaining anyway. What I'm saying is, if that's what they're doing in Age of Sigmar, I'm looking forward to a full new army release range in 40k.
Is it really bad that I'm not as hopeful as you? But that's because
I'm hopeful it's going to be Orcs, that they're going to be the ones that when they come out, they'll be like, here's a whole bunch of new kits to come with them, and they'll look amazing.
I can't see it now.
But anyway, let me show you the Gloomtide Shipwreck, right?
Wow.
It's a ship. Right?
That is awesome.
It is. Right? You know the other thing?
Can we make that look 40k?
That's always my thoughts. Like, can we find a way to include that in 40k? I'd like to put that in a Death World jungle somewhere. Let it's been proper overgrown. Like putting a bit of a swamp sort of thing.
Yeah, you couldn't really have it in a city Death World, could you?
No, it'd look really out of place. But I really, really want to find a place for it on a 40k board.
You need a water feature.
Right? And look how big it is.
Wow.
Right? It's bigger than you think.
Oh, I really want to use that.
Right? Same. I really want to find a use for it in 40k. We were talking...
What you could do be some real conversion work.
What?
If you filled in the holes and you made it look like a bar.
A bar?
Think Fallout.
Yeah, sort of Fallout style.
As in, it's almost been recommissioned.
But where would you see that on a 40k table? Like, even then, when do you see that sort of level of scrappiness? You only sort of see that in Necromunda, and you wouldn't really see a ship in the Underhive. Unless you turned it into like it was meant to be like a sludge trawler and it would go through the sewers. That'd be an interesting take on it. Because I was thinking you could possibly do something with orcs, like with freebooters, and make it look like it's... If you techified it up and put like orc stuff on it, like engines and things.
Wheels and engines. But then
and make it look... I wouldn't even put wheels on it, I'd have put engines on it as though it was like an anti-grav thing. But it's crashed. It's since been wrecked.
Oh, if you make... Yeah, but then you'd convert it so much you'd actually lose what makes it pretty.
Maybe.
Well, you would, because you'd have to orcify it, which means you need armour plates, glyphs.
But it's just one of those things where I would really, really love to do something with that
to make
kit in 40k. We've talked previously about the Azerite ruins, which I actually think will have some use in 40k. They'll look quite eldritch. Because I think there's a handful of things that you could make look chaosy in 40k, because inherently the chaos stuff is quite universal. I still think the realm gates from Age of Sigmar could look right on a 40k table if done right, because you make it clearly look like it's a centerpiece of like a chaos ritual site or a temple.
Yeah.
And it'll still fit in. I think you might be able to do the same with this if you, and certainly with the Azerite ruins.
It looks very nice though. It looks very pretty. I just can't figure out a way I would use it in 40k.
Same. I'd like to find a use for it. I think buried in a swamp somewhere is going to be the best place to have it in a Death World, like jungle terrain piece. Just have it half submerged.
The issue is the table we play on isn't really Death World.
So guys, this has been episode 11 of the Vox Chatter Podcast. Thank you for joining us again and listening to the show. If you did enjoy it, don't forget to give it a like or help spread the word and share it with your friends and local hobby group. It really does help support the show. As always, be sure to leave your comments below and let us know your thoughts on how the 40k FAQ has really changed the game. If you have any questions or suggestions for future topics, be sure to include them, as we're always looking for great ideas to discuss on the show. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more 40k content like this, as well as codex previews and Tactica videos. Or alternatively, if you enjoy video games, why not check out my Let's Plays and other gaming videos? You might just find something else you enjoy over on my channel. Finally, you can also follow me over on Twitter @CountHillary for daily hobby news and updates. Thanks for listening guys, and we will see you next time.
Bye!